Morning, guys. I got this trunk on here. I got it where I like it. I went ahead and put the seal in there, and so I thought, you know what, now's a good time to go ahead and split these panels. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. At first, I initially thought that I was going to come out here like I did the door, come out here wide, but started thinking about that, and I've changed my mind. I'm actually going to split the panel right up against the edge here, pull that edge in, and then fill that with filler rod and weld it up. And like I said, the reason I'm doing that is because I'm not sure, if I pull this out thick, I'm not sure if I start cranking on that if it's going to start bending and jacking this panel up. I know that if I just have this little sliver here and move it over, I have all this meat here that will resist that. So anyway, so I cut me a little slot right here so I can put my little saw in, and I'll run right down the edge of this tape, run right back up to here. Right here it's about 3/16 already, so, and then I'll just get me a screwdriver or whatever, putty knife or whatever, get in there and start pulling that apart. Now, I don't know if you can see, that's a pretty big gap. That's at least one of those fat rods that I had wide. So, and the thing about these, if you were able to see down the side of this like I'm looking at it right now, it kind of lays out like that. It doesn't come up straight, and so I think to just take that out, that inner edge there, and pull it up, it's going to actually look a little better. The only problem I'm worried about right now having is, remember that I put that panel underneath here, the little brace. Well, that brace is literally right here. I mean, it comes right in here. So when I go to splitting this, I got to be careful that I don't cut into that brace. So I've just got to do a real light cut up here. But then when I go to pull that in, I'm not sure what that's going to do, how it's going to affect that brace inside. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And hang with me, it'll get a little noisy. Morning, guys. This is my third attempt to make a video. My camera's really acting stupid. I may end up having to buy a new camera. What I decided to do today, and I'll make this short and sweet. You can see here I split the panel. I'm gonna go ahead and get these gaps right. I decided to come out to the edge instead of coming in here because I figured it would be harder to bend. This will be easier to bend in and make my gap. So that's kind of where I am, and I was showing how I was doing this on the video, and it crashed on me, so I'm not even sure this one won't crash on me. So I'm going to make this short and maybe try to make them into little blocks today and see if I can keep the thing going instead of wasting all my time. But you can see I split this all the way down here and then all the way up to here. Now right up here it's 1 3/16, or I mean it's 3/16 already. So I just need to start pulling this in, and that's a big gap there. You see here, I've got a lot of filling to do. And again, when I bend that in, that's going to make probably a 1/4 inch gap. So that's a lot I got to fill. So I'll be using that rod again, but I'll kind of take you along as I go like I did the last one, because like I said, my camera's acting stupid for some reason. So alright, see you guys. Well guys, I wanted a challenge. I got one. This is a 3/16 gap. I got this pulled in here. Well, that's a 3/16 gap too that I just made. So I've got to fill a 3/16 gap without putting a shit ton of heat on it, and without, you know what I mean, it's gonna be tricky. That was a big gap. So I may wish I went ahead and put rod on the end of this by the time it's all over with, but I'm committed now, so it is what it is. But I thought I'd show you real quick how much of a gap we have there. So I'm gonna get me some rod and start filling this in a little bit at a time and just work my way down. That's the plan. See ya. Alright guys, you see what I got there? This baby tacks all the way down, and all I've done is just rolled this little bead right over the edge to get this rod to hang on to this edge. Went ahead and took yeah, there it is. Couldn't find my putty knife. Went ahead and wedged that in there, actually like that, to where the flat side was up against that. Hammered it out. This is flexible, so I actually flexed this down and worked it out like that to get that gap big enough to get that rod into. And the gap is so big that I'll probably end up having to use that smaller rod next to it to use it as a filler possibly too, just to keep from burning away. Because, and I've got a lot of backers. I can't use the backers up here because I've got that brace, but down through here I'll be able to use backers underneath there to help take the heat away. But again, that's just tacked on there. I haven't started melting that in. Just wanted to kind of get that gap filled up, and I still have to work it quite a bit. But right up here, you can see that's 3/16, but then as you get down to here, it's starting to widen up, and then obviously as it comes down, it's more wide. So I'll have to continue to, you know, get me something to kind of crank that in like that as I go, and keep working that gap. So yeah, this is gonna probably take me most of the day, my guess is. So I'm gonna get back on it. See ya. Alright guys, I'm gonna take you along real quick. Here's how I'm doing this, because I had such a big gap here. You know, put this rod in here. Well, I'm using that technique that I talked to you guys about before, with using the little filler rod, almost like TIG welding, except I'm just laying it in there and bridging it. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Turn this a little bit more this way. So I've got this gap where I want it. We're 3/16 on this side, okay? But I've got a gap big enough that this wire fits down inside there. So I don't want to try to bridge that. So what I'm going to do is lay this in here and then zap that with my, and here's what I'm talking about. Just lay it down in there, steady your rod, hopefully, yeah, I'm right in the way, I figured that. Let me pull it around this way. It ain't going to matter, it's going to light up and you're not going to see it anyway, but I'll show you. Okay, now that rod's stuck in there, you can just take it and bend it off like that. Now that's just to bridge that gap, just to tack this in. Once I get these tacked in where I want them, then I can come back and start burning that in good. But that's just, you can see that's just a light tack. It's not penetrating a whole lot, but that's not what I'm after right now. I'm just trying to get this gap fixed to where I've got it all where I want it, then I'll come back and start doing the deal. So, show you one more time. A little lower here. You can see it's starting to open up on me again, so go ahead and take me a screwdriver and kind of tweak that in a bit. Get it where I want it. Still a bit too wide. Alright. Okay, so put another one right up here. I've got a tack that's bridged across that gap, and it didn't put, you can see the heat ring right there. It's tiny. It didn't put a whole lot on there. But again, this is just a tack. So kind of give you a little quick idea how I'm doing this, because that gap was huge. That gap was damn near, well, it was 3/16 of an inch, maybe a little more in some areas. So that's not something that you're just, and this side here is paper thin. That's just the side, that's 20 gauge sheet metal where that's split. So my thought was, you know, I'm gonna end up blowing through all over the place if I don't use some kind of filler rod in here and trying to tack something across that big of a gap. That's not gonna happen. So I reinforced this with this rod, and it's also going to be used as a heat sink to an extent to keep the heat off of this thin little panel right here. So then as I come back and I start capping this, you know, I'll cap across this and then I'll just start grinding all that down. But yeah, I'll get me some better penetration as I start. But like I said, these are just tacks to hold this in right now to get this panel all fitted up where I want it, where it has a good smooth transition and all that. And then I'll come back and fill it in. So, all right, a little heads up. See you guys. Hey guys, quick update on the progress. I got the gap the way I wanted it. Now I'm starting to actually burn all this in good. And you can see I've got a lot of gaps still to fill, but grinding it down, welding, grinding down, and then coming back and welding that way, you know, make sure I get all the little pit holes and all that, unpin holes and all that stuff. But yeah, I got a ways to go. So I just thought I'd give you a quick update on that. And of course you can see some of the welds sticking over. I'll smooth all that out. And I took the rubber out of there just in case. I didn't want the weld spatter to get under there and burn holes in the rubber here. So I went ahead and took it out so the trunk fell just a little bit. But that's all right. So yeah, there you go. And that's their gap. So yeah, a little bit at a time. Try not to introduce too much heat, and not too bad. But like I said, ways to go. So I'm gonna get on it. See ya. All right, guys, here we go. Came out real nice. How well this will show, but and what I've got going there is I'm metal filing this down. So what I did was I ground it all after I got it all welded up. I ground it all down pretty close. Okay, then I take, it's called a metal file. I took me where'd my fat Sharpie go? Well, it's a Sharpie. There it is. Magnum Sharpie. So anyway, black it all out. And I take my file and I sit and do this until I get all those highs even with the lows, making sure that I don't, you know what I mean. This is still high a little bit, so I'm trying to blend this in. So the more you get this in right, and most people don't do this. I'm not going to say it's a lost art, but I don't know. But anyway, so you can see where it's high, you can see where the little lows are. So I'll keep metal filing that out until I get that all nice and smooth, basically. And I may have a couple of little imperfections, but I'm going to put a tight coat of all metal on this. Now here's the side. Okay, hopefully that'll show up. Let me see, I got a little light on here somewhere. Light. Yeah, maybe that helped. But you can see that's all metal. There's no, you know, and I need to kind of round this edge a little bit, and I'll have to work on that because it's not quite that sharp. But yeah. And I need that little spot there. Here's another thing. I'm too damn picky. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so yeah, there's my gap. Looks pretty nice. Looks way, kind of give you an idea how big that one was. maybe. I don't know how well that shows up, but anyway, this is right at 3/16, so it's gonna look real nice. But right here, and this pisses me off, but you see that? Here, let me go and close this. All right, now when the rubber's in there, it's gonna lift this edge back up, so I'm not worried about that. But right here, as that comes down, it hits right there. Well, if I'd have been a little more careful when I was doing my metal work before I started doing all this stuff, I would have split this and tapped that in. Well, it's irritating. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm probably gonna split the top here, just out so far, and then I'm gonna try to get down here below, put me a piece of tape here to kind of protect this. I've already hit it with a grinder once. And then I'm gonna cut this under here, cut me a little pizza wedge out of there, and then cut this and tap that in to where that lines up perfectly with this, like this one. This one's nice, it's got a nice transition. My trunk is perfect here, which I still need to weld that little spot, but I gotta do that anyway. But yeah, man, I'm nitpicking and I hate it, but I've gone this far, so why not, you know? But that was quite the little ordeal. Like I said, I used these rods here, and then I've got another little one. Anyway, you guys have seen them. And we got another little one that I used to fill all this in with. So that's all nice, good steel. Like I said, I haven't put any filler in this yet. I'm gonna go ahead and just keep working this till I get all this, you know, nice and smooth, and I'll put me a tight wipe of that all metal. Also, I took my flashlight here, put it underneath inside the trunk, made sure there was no pinhole. Actually, there was like 5 or 6 pinholes, so I went ahead and filled those in and ground them down. So, like I said, it's looking pretty good. Alright guys, that'll be it for me today. It's almost 5 o'clock. I went and worked out with my daughter. She's quite the little exercise girl. She wants to ride bikes and work out, and that's great. She's 25. So I feel pretty fortunate that my 25-year-old daughter, hold on a second, that my 25-year-old daughter still likes her dad. That's pretty good. But I'm old and fat, so it's hard for me to keep up these young kids. I tried awful hard, but anyway, I probably gained, I'm gonna say 30 pounds in the last 5 years. I was working out pretty hard and staying fit and all that, and then I started studying for that captain's exam, and I just pretty much threw everything down, sat on my ass, ate, studied, and gained a lot of weight, and I have no excuse to not get it back off. I just need to, you know, get after it. So I've been going to the gym and doing stuff with my daughter and all that, but I still got a ways to go. So yeah, #1 killer of firefighters is heart disease, cardiac arrest. You get on scene fighting a fire, you're out of shape, you overdo it, and your heart says, I'm done, and then that's it. It's the #1 killer of firefighters. So knowing that, I got to be a little smarter and get on my game now. So especially since now I'm going back in the fires. When you're a driver, you pump the truck. You usually stay out with all, you know, you get the hose, lay the hose out, hydrant, make sure you guys got water, hose laid out, flaked out, no kinks, all that kind of stuff. But you stay out of the IDLH, which is immediate dangers to life and health. You stay out of that atmosphere. When you make captain, you take your private, was what we call him, the guy on the back. You and him or her go into the fire again. So I went from being a driver to now I'm back in the fire a lot. So, and we do make a lot of fire where I'm at. So yeah, I got to get back in shape. But all right, guys, like I said, that's it. I feel like I got quite a bit done today. That side's pretty well done. I just got to file it on down and do a tight wipe on it, like I said, with the all metal. All right, guys, one last look at this. Dress that down in 80 grit once I got it all filed down good. So There you go. Wow. Like I said, this is a little low because the rubber's not in there, but other than that, turned out pretty good. A little bit of a wavy thing right there, but I think I can take care of that with a file or something, kind of knock that back straight. Other than that, it looks pretty good. So that's it, man. And of course, which I always do, get underneath there, clean it up real good with a wire brush, and then spray that. Coat it with self-etch primer, some of that undercoating stuff, whatever you've got that'll seal that metal in there to keep it from rusting, because you don't want moisture getting in your trunk and then start working up in any pinholes or whatever. And from the underneath side, there's not any pinholes from the top, but if underneath, you know, if it gets up in some of the little pits or whatever, it's gonna you'll start having rust problems. So just be sure you remember those little details. Get up in there, and I need to put that on the board, but get up in under there. And same deal with my trunk, where I went through these, actually I have to flip this over, but from the other side right here, I'll probably spray some stuff in there, put my little wand in there and spray that around, because where I welded those patches in on the other side, it's bare metal underneath. So again, just that little extra. Alright guys, have a good evening. I'm done jabbering and done making the videos super long. That looks great from here. Like I said, once we get her a little bit all metal, a little bit of filler, get her blocked down straight, man oh man, it'd be nice. So there it is. So you can see how big that gap was. So, all right, I'll probably get on that one next time I come in. After I fix that little corner, that'll be a little job. It's not gonna be hard. The only problem is trying not to mess this up. You know what I mean? Because I'll probably have to split this, and then I'll split this bottom. We'll have to weld that bottom up. Well, welding next to this is I'll end up having to, I don't know, who knows, but I just can't let that fly. So, all right guys, see ya.